Hello, my name is Patrick Kelly. I'm Director of Governmental Affairs for Palmetto State Teachers Association. And this video is for South Carolina's educators as you head into the summer months. As you're transitioning into the summer, you've got some critically important questions in front of you. Perhaps none more important than deciding how you will get the well-deserved chance to rest and recharge that you need after one of the most challenging school years that anyone can remember. But the questions in front of you in the coming week also involve politics, because the June 2022 primaries are fully underway here in South Carolina, and they present a range of questions to South Carolina voters. First, how will you vote? For the first time, the state of South Carolina has true, early, no-excuse voting available on any weekday between now and the primary election day on June 14th. To vote, all a registered voter has to do is show up at your county election office between 8:30 and 5 on a weekday with your photo identification, and you can vote, no excuse necessary. Second, you're presented with the question of which primary to participate in this year. Now, South Carolina is an open primary state, which means you're afforded the opportunity to choose to vote in either the Democratic or Republican primaries. But you can't vote in both. You'll be asked to choose a party's ballot when you arrive at the polls, either in early voting or on election day on June 14th. And third, perhaps the biggest question, which candidates will you support on a ballot that has a host of offices that impact education? Now, regardless of how you answer those three questions, PSTA wants to encourage all South Carolina educators to make one choice in common, and that choice is to vote, because it is essential that all South Carolina educators must vote this June. The reasons why are threefold. First, it's because of the importance of the offices on the ballot. Now, there's often a misconception that during a non-presidential election year that elections are somehow less important. But that couldn't be further from the truth, especially for education this year, because on your ballot is the office of governor, state superintendent of education, all 124 seats in the South Carolina House of Representatives, all 7 seats in the South Carolina delegation to the U.S. House of Representatives, and one of our state's 2 seats in the U.S. Senate. All of those offices, arguably, have far more of a direct impact on education in our state than a presidential election does. Second, it's so important for every educator to vote this June because of the sheer scope of the educational issues that are facing our state in coming years. Whether it's making up for learning disruptions after the pandemic, whether it's addressing a record teacher shortage, or finding ways to keep our schools safer, or revising the way we fund our education system, this list of potential issues is immense and seemingly endless. And the outcome of the elections this June will continue to shape those issues for years to come. And third and finally, it is critically important for every South Carolina educator to vote, because voting today will enhance educator advocacy for years to come. In 2020, a major political consultant in South Carolina shared with PSTA staff that in doing research about the electorate in South Carolina, they had discovered that teachers don't vote at any higher rate than any other professional group in the state, and in many cases vote at a lower rate. What that means simply is that when teachers do advocate during periods between election years by writing letters and emails, placing phone calls, and visiting elected officials, your voice won't be as impactful as it otherwise would have been if the elected official knew that educators voted at high rates in our state. It's up to teachers to change the narrative that teachers don't vote in high numbers in this state, and that starts with this June's primary. So, as you head into the summer, of all the questions in front of you, there are not wrong and right answers. That's hard in education for us to say that. But there is one question that does have one set answer that must be answered the same by every teacher, and that's to go and vote this June. If you have any questions about how or where to vote and how early voting works, check out the member resources that have been emailed out to PSTA members in recent weeks. Thank you, educators, for what you do for our students, for our profession, and for the families of South Carolina. Hope you have a well-deserved summer break, but make sure you get out and vote to kick off the summer.